Ask not for whom the bell tolls, it tolls for thee. So this is not like a dream, right? This is not a dream or a vision that I had. It is about a download, but this is actually about something personal that's happening to a specific person in my life, a family member, right? And if you've ever had a family member who deals with addiction but is also spiritual, this might resonate with you a bit, right? So last week, starting at about Wednesday, I kept hearing that ask not for who the bell tolls, right? And it didn't really surprise me much, because there's a family member who, in my dreams, this family member has been showing up where they're getting diagnosed with like different illnesses. I had a dream where this family member passed away. So I thought this was just like Spirit's way of telling me, prepare yourself because it's going to happen soon. So I kind of ignored it. But I kept hearing it over and over again. Ask not for who the bell tolls. Ask not for who the bell tolls. Ask not for who the bell tolls, right? So I ended up texting another family member. I have another family member who, they're specifically the millennials and below, right? The millennials, Gen Z, Gen Alpha in my family are the ones who are highly spiritual, right? Aunts and my father, mother, and grandparents, of course, they're still religious. Although I do have one aunt that is, starting her spiritual journey. So kudos to her. And this is actually one of my aunts who is part of the toxic family cycle. So extra kudos to her for finally working through that, right? I'm actually really proud of her. She might actually go onto my list of acceptable family members. that sounds a little cocky or a little bitchy as I say it out loud, but there are too many family members who are toxic and refuse to acknowledge it, right? Who do things, what do they say? Throw a rock and hide their hand, and refuse to acknowledge that a lot of the drama and a lot of the chaos they are actually stirring up, right? But it is what it is. So this one particular family member that is also spiritual also suffers from addictions, right? Now, before I get there, I kept hearing over and over again, like, ask for not who the bell tolls, right? So there's actually two quotes. It's ask not, well, actually, I think ask not for who the bell tolls is like the name of the book or something. I don't know. I can't remember because it's been so long, right? This is like high school literature, right? But there's a point where one of the characters says, ask not for who the bell tolls, it tolls for thee. So when I'm sitting here and I'm getting this download, I actually text it to a family member at 1:00 in the morning, right? This is 1:00 Saturday morning. It's Friday night, slash, Saturday morning. I text it to this family member, but I accidentally text them, instead of ask not for who the bell tolls, I accidentally text them, ask not for who the bell tolls, it tolls for thee. And then I'm like, oh crap, let me go back and edit that, because I don't want them to think that I'm saying like, hey, like death is coming for you, right? But sooner or later, death does come for us all. But I'm like, I don't want this family member to think that I'm like saying that towards them. So I'm like, oh crap, let me go back and edit it, right? So I go back and edit it. But like if you have iPhone, when you edit, you can still click on it to see the original version, right? So I go back and edit it. So an hour, maybe hour and a half goes by, and this family member calls me, and something told me not to pick up the phone. The thing about dealing with a family member that's has addiction, like I really have to put up those boundaries with that family member, especially when they're calling like after hours, because their energy, especially when they're in that addiction mode, is like, it's so freaking chaotic and it's exhausting. Like I can tell the difference, not just by the typical behaviors and stuff and all, now everything in their life is falling apart all over again, they must be started back up, but it's something about even when you interact with them, the energy is so draining. Like there are times where I can talk to this family member, we can have a great conversation, right? And there are other times where this family member calls and it's like talking to them is so draining. Like after I get off the phone with them, I just want to take a nap. And I had to learn to start taking spiritual baths after I got off the phone with this person, because them demons be looking for new hosts, man. And it's crazy, right? It's actually, I want to get into that in a second, right? Because I used to not believe that. But after what transpired this weekend, I'm starting to think that's actually a thing, right? I thought that like a lot of times the vices that we have, we came down here with, and they were lessons that we had to learn. Sometimes karmic lessons that we brought over from another life, which is true, right? Because this family member is not in the Yoruba religion, but they have gotten readings from a Babalawo, and it's like they haven't gone through the ceremony, so they don't know who their head Orisha is, right? But like Obatala is strong in this person's energy. If you know anything about Obatala, if you are a child of Obatala, you shouldn't be going anywhere near alcohol, because alcohol is your downfall, right? Anyways, and there's also a thing about Eshu where Eshu is like, or I think something about like, no, either Eshu loves alcohol, or it's like don't give him alcohol or something, or he starts to act up when he gets alcohol. I'll have to go back, because I know I listened to a story on that. There's like I forget what channel it was, because I just happened to stumble upon it because of other things that I was watching. It came into my newsfeed where they were talking about like the different orishas and stuff. But I do remember alcohol being heavily associated with the Batala, right? Anyways, I digress. So this family member calls and they start talking about, man, you're not going to believe the night I just had. I was out at the club at this like rave, and he was like, the rave just felt so demonic. the energy there, the music they were playing. And this family member has this ring, right? This crystal ring. I forget what gem. I don't know if it's like tourmaline or onyx or shoot, I don't know if it's hematite. It's one of the black crystals that this family member has on a ring that they wear for protection. And they also have other crystal rings. So I'm not sure which ring broke, but he kept saying it was his ring of protection. So I'm assuming it was one of the ones with one of the black gemstones on it, right? But anyways, he was like, he was at the club, he was, you know, drinking, and he got drunk, and he's like, I don't even know what happened. I don't remember what happened. But he was like, all I remember is like my friends grabbing a bunch of napkins and like applying pressure to my hand. He looked down and there was like blood everywhere. And he was like, his ring broke. And somehow when it broke, and it's weird, I don't even know what the rat to ask. Well, no, I don't, because I'm putting like spirit was literally telling me like, back, give me 50 feet. Actually, I'm going to see if this lets me do this, right? I didn't want to say it right off the bat because you know when you upload a video, it listens to like little pieces here and there to try to make sure there's no, you don't copyright or anything. So I actually used the beat in here, but I altered it just slightly, but enough to where you should be able to tell what the song is, but I altered the beat just slightly. So I'm going to see what the alterations, if it'll let me upload this video. If not, I'm going to go ahead and list the song in a little bit. If not, so you know which beat I was trying to use. But I'm hoping that the beat will let you know what song I'm talking about. And if you've seen that movie, Light It Up, it's old. It's old. So you would have to be older or just like bad movies from the early 2000s, right? Anyways, so this family member, right, is talking, and they're like, yeah, that, you know, they called me when they got home, and they're like, yeah, there was like blood everywhere, and I got all these napkins filled with blood on my hand. And as this person is talking, I'm like smelling blood. And I'm like, that's odd, because like I'm not sitting here, I'm not at my altar, I'm not like tapped in, and I'm very highly sensitive to the energies around me, but I've never been like that tapped in before. And I'm like, that's odd that like you're calling me randomly, telling me this story, and all of a sudden I can smell blood. Like I smell blood. And then my nose starts running. I'm like, oh crap, let me go grab a tissue. So I go and grab a tissue, and I look, and it's blood. My nose is bleeding, like bad. Like I have blood gushing from my nose. And my head starts to hurt. And I'm like, wait a minute, like y'all, I never get nosebleeds. I can literally count on one hand how many times I've gotten nosebleeds in my lifetime. And 2 of those times I actually did it to myself. I used to have my nose pierced. It's closed up over the years. But I used to have my nose pierced. But I didn't used to like the rings, the nose rings I would find that had like the little screw bottoms. So I would find earrings that I like little, you know, butterfly and other like little charm earrings. And I would put those in. The problem is that, you know, sometimes if like something hit my nose, or if I'm scratching my nose, or if I tap my nose, the pointed part of the earring would like jab the inside of my nose, and it would cause, you know, me to have a nosebleed. So I've done that twice, right? But like I said, I don't get nosebleeds. So not only the nosebleed, but like the headache, right? The headache that I was getting. And then this person started complaining and was like, man, like I'm so mad. I'm like, you know, like calm down. I'm like, you know, a club, like I get that you're young, because this family member is, you know, several years younger than me, almost 10 years younger than me, right? And I'm like, I get that you're young and you still want to go out and you want to enjoy life, you want to have a good time. But I said, if you're going to be in these type of scenes, you have to have more discipline. And if you're not at the place where you have more discipline, you cannot be in these particular areas. You cannot be, you know, in these environments until you do, right? This family member's addiction to alcohol is so bad that at one point, family members thought this person was on drugs. This person is losing jobs, going around asking people for money, like give one family member a sob story and ask for money, give another family member a completely different sob story, asking for money. And then family members started talking, putting things together, and then we realized like, hey, something is not right here. Something is like seriously not right here. And another family member went to that person and was like, hey, like what's going on? Like, you know, if you need like help, like serious help, you got to let us know. But the family got together and like, we're not giving you any more money until you can be on. Like, you're calling people asking for money, and not like, can I have $20-$30? This person is calling asking for hundreds of dollars, even like $1,000, talking about, hey, I can't pay my rent, I'm gonna be homeless, can I get the money? And it's crazy because it's like, you have a job, like where is your money going, right? Feeding that addiction. So that's how this person ended up admitting that they were an alcoholic. But some family members, and I'll even admit, there are times when I'm still like, I don't think that's the full truth. I don't. But I'm like, you know, they admitted to that. So, you know, that's what we're going to go with at this point in time, right? And I don't know how much longer we have to go with that. Other family members have gotten to the point where they are so tired of this person calling and complaining about their lives, complaining about their lives just so they can turn around and end the conversation by asking for money, that they've kind of cut this person off. But see, me, it's weird for me because this is one of my favorite family members, right? One of my favorite family. My little sister is my favorite. She's my favorite, right? But this is one of my favorite family members. And I knew this person before the addiction, right? So it's hard for me to kind of it's hard for me because I'm like, man, I knew who you were before, and I know who you're capable of being again, right? So it's hard for me, but I had to learn how to draw boundaries with this person, right? Like when this person called, I don't know what type of club this person was at. They said it was some sort of rave, like some kind of rave, but I don't know what this was. But I do know is that something got attached to this person when they were out, and whatever that was tried to attach itself to me. And like, lucky for me, I'd literally just gone to the store that morning because I work night shift. So I get off and I typically go to the store, especially on the weekends, where I don't, some weekends I'd be like, okay, let's go out and, have a good time and, just to get out, I keep saying I need to get out more. So I'll force myself to get out every now and then. But most of the time, like, I'm trying to just chill, right? But anyways, I stopped off at the store Friday morning. I worked Thursday night. Friday morning, I stopped off at the store and I was like, ooh, I have not done a really good spiritual cleaning in a while. So let me get a couple of items so I can do a spiritual cleaning. Went home, took my shower, went to sleep. So then when this person called and I started getting this, and I got off the phone with that person so fast. I was like, you know what? I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm sorry you went through that. Go ahead and sleep it off and we'll talk about it, tomorrow. But I had no intention of taking up the phone the next day, which I didn't. Haven't spoke to this person the rest of the weekend. I'll give it until my ancestors, my spirit guides say it's safe. But it's going to be a couple of days before I answer this person's phone call, because this person definitely has something attached to them that tried to get to me just through that freaking phone call, right? But anyways, like I said, I stopped at the store Friday morning and bought some supplies. So I went and I emptied everything. Every supply that I got, I emptied it all. I scrubbed myself, and I just got this new peppermint soap, right? That is so harsh. It is so freaking harsh. But when I tell you, I feel so clean. I feel so clean. So I use all my spiritual stuff. I clean myself down from head to toe. And then on top of that, I scrub myself with the peppermint soap. I felt like a brand new soul when I came up out of that shower, right? Anyways, so it got me to thinking. And then I started thinking and I was like, you know what? This person has been doing well for so long that I forgot to look for the sign. And not even like so long, because this really started, I don't even know if I want to get there. Y'all may be jumping the gun, but I feel like I'm going to go on so many tangents that I'm going to forget. So I'm going to go ahead and jump the gun. This really started back in like 2020. And this is what I mean when I say I really feel like sometimes these demons be jumping to new hosts, right? My grandfather passed away in 2020, January of 2020, as a matter of fact, of an unknown respiratory virus. And we suspected that it was COVID, but at that time, we hadn't hit the full epidemic, right? There was no test for it at that time. So they were just like, it's a respiratory virus, but we just don't know which one it is. We just can't identify it. But months later, we ended up saying that we believe. There's no way for us to know. We believe it was COVID, right? But anyways, my grandfather had a very, very, very bad habit with alcohol. He had an alcohol addiction, but he had my grandmother, and my grandmother, it got to the point where my grandfather was great. Don't get me wrong. He was great until that alcohol touched his lips. He became unrecognizable. When that alcohol touched his lips, he became a whole different freaking entity, right? So my grandmother kept it away. So if he would buy alcohol, she would find it and throw it away. She would go around looking for it. And as a child, we never knew what was going on. And it's like little things that you start to remember. I remember her being like, if you find something that looks like this, I'll give you money if you bring it to me, right? And we children, it's like a game to us. So having us, search for it, is me and my siblings and my, 6 other cousins. So it's like 9 of us scouring the house, making a game out of it. We didn't know any better. Now, he did drink some when we weren't there, but when the grandkids were there, my grandma made certain that stuff was not in the house because of how it transformed him when he was on it, right? So my grandfather passed away in January of 2020, and it was that year, right? And matter of fact, this family member, I saw them at the funeral that January, and did not see them again until a bunch of stuff started falling apart later on that same year, right? So it was that year in 2020 where the rest of the family found out that this person had some kind of addiction, because this person literally lost their job. They lost their place. They couldn't get food. They were calling family members saying, hey, can you give me $1,000 for rent? Hey, can you give me a couple hundred for food? Hey, can you give me this? Can you give me that? And family member is like, what is going on? And that's when we had like the little stage intervention, or a couple of the older family members, like aunts and my dad and a couple other the older family members, like I said, who had the intervention. They were like, what's going on? Because this is not normal. Like, you have a job. This is before we found out this person lost their job. You have a job, so why can't you pay your bills? Why can't you buy food? Like, what are you doing with your money? Feeding their addiction. Right, so this person gets put out of their place, and now they still owe tons of money and tons of credit card debt, racking up. Literally got a credit card and maxed it out, doing cash advances. I'm like, is this, I'm like, man, like I didn't know alcohol was that serious. But then again, me, like I don't drink because I can't stand the taste. Like I've tried different kinds of alcohol and it does not matter. All of it tastes like rubbing alcohol to me. My taste buds are so sensitive that no matter how weak, and then beer is just nasty. It's just nasty, right? But I've tried liquor and it's like liqueur, whatever you want to call it. And it's like all of it tastes like I'm drinking different flavors, different flavors, various flavors of rubbing alcohol. That's what that stuff tastes like to me. So I can't do it. So in my mind, it's like, I don't get it. But I guess if you like the taste of it, maybe you do. I hope you don't, but maybe you do, right? But it's like, it's almost like, because I was like, I'm thinking about it now, right? I'm thinking about it literally this morning. I was thinking about it and I'm like, this person has always had a drink here or there. Has always been able to maintain fine. So like, what changed? What changed? Like we've always seen you, you know, not like all the time, but like at you know, different events and stuff like that, there was alcohol. This person may have a drink or two, nothing too stupid. This person drank a lot of water too. So it was just like, we thought this person was like a social drinker. So what happened where out of nowhere, now it's gone from socially drinking to a full blown out addiction, full blown alcoholic? What happened? And there's literally something about, I'm starting to feel like when my grandfather passed, whatever demon my grandfather had found itself a new host. That's what it's starting to feel like. And I can almost kick myself because, like I said, this person has been doing well for about not quite 2 years, right? But maybe around a year and a half, a little more, but about not quite 2 years. This person has been doing pretty well. So I hadn't even noticed, you know, over the past month, this person has called and been like, you know, man, I'm hungry. I wish I could just, you know, I'm just hungry. And I'm like, well, then go get you something to eat. Like, what are you like? Yeah, I've been working. I'm like, okay, well, I know it's a thing for women. Sometimes we work and we're working and we don't stop. I don't know why I'm hearing work, don't stop. But anyways, and sometimes we may skip lunch. We may skip breakfast because we're trying too much to do things. But I don't know too many men not to say that men don't, I don't know too many men that's not going to stop and eat when they're hungry, right? I just don't, right? So when this person was like, you know, oh, they're really hungry, you know, I didn't really think anything about it. I'm just like, go get something to eat. And I kind of just like brushed it off. I didn't really sit down and think too much into it. And then this person was talking about how, yeah, like, they lost a job and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah. And I'm thinking like, cause you know, the economy, people have been losing jobs still in this economy. And it's been very difficult to find another one. So I'm sitting here thinking like, yeah, well, you know, I'm sorry to hear that. Have you been putting in applications and stuff like that? And they're like, yeah, I've been trying, but you know, nothing's coming forth. And I'm like, well, just keep trying, keep applying, you know, make sure, you know, you're asking your old job for, if they let you go because, you know, they were doing cuts, then, you know, don't be afraid to ask them for like references for you to find you something different. Well, it turned out this person didn't lose that job. They quit that job. They resigned from that job to find a different one. And when they went to the new job, they ended up getting terminated from the new job. But they had their old job. They left it because, where they said that they were working, what did they say? But they were working them too hard, or something about the environment they didn't like, which that can be understandable. If it's a toxic environment, that can be understandable. And I applaud you for leaving and finding something else. But my thing is like, you should have made sure that the other offer that you had was more stable, right? The other offer, there were clauses in there that you didn't read the fine print enough, right? And there were certain clauses where you had like a certain amount of time to complete this, complete that. And if you didn't, it was automatic termination. So you didn't read the clauses. So you left for this new thing and then ended up losing it, which is not like 100% your fault, but at the same time, it's enough of your fault because you should have known, you should have been more informed, right? But either way, like this person loses that job and then starts like trying to blame their significant other. Like, well, man, if she wouldn't have done this and she wouldn't have done, like, what does she have to do? It's not her fault that they terminated you, right? It's not her fault. And then this person went out, like I said, went out to the club this weekend and was like, man, you know, I shouldn't have listened to her. It's my fault, but what does she have to do with what happened at the rave you went to? Well, she was telling me that, you know, I've been bummed out because I lost my job and I need to just get out the house so I'm not always moping. What was wrong with that? You know, that person, he was like, well, she gave me money to go out. And I was like, but there are tons of things to do. Like, you live in the city. There are tons of things to do. You could have gone on Google and looked up events in your area. And I'm sure there were a ton of things to do. You decided to go to that rave. You decided to get a drink. She gave you money to go out and get out the house to just breathe and relax because you were so stressed about not having a job. She didn't tell you to go to the club and get drunk. That was your fault. That was your fault. So you can't blame her for that. And like I said, if you know you don't have the willpower to say no, you shouldn't be putting yourself in that environment. You could have went to a movie. Is it boring? Yeah. I understand for someone in your age group, going to see a movie on a Friday night is not like, you know, the most appealing thing to do. But there were other things you could have done other than go to a rave and get drunk. That was your decision, right? And this person was like, man, like, you know, I checked my email and I got a email back to set up an interview for a position I applied for, but she freaking took my computer, so I missed the email. And I was like, wait a minute, what do you mean she took your computer? Well, I was applying for all these jobs, and you know, some of the websites have a lot of things you have to do, and it was hard to do it from my phone. So she brought me a laptop as a gift. That's generous, so that I could put in applications. And then she got mad and took the laptop. Why did she take the laptop? Oh man, because whenever she get mad, she just taking stuff back. No. I spoke to her because I was like, you tell me these stories as if you didn't already get her and I in contact, you know, because every time you meet a girl, you want her to be in contact with your family so you can sit here and prove to her how special she is, although you don't do this, as if you don't do this every single time you meet someone new. Right? So, you know, you get her in contact with family as if she can't just reach out if she wants some reassurance. So I'm like, I spoke to this person and they took the laptop because you weren't using it to put in applications. You were playing video games and going to other type sites instead of actually putting in the applications, which she paid for it for. You know what I mean? So should she have taken it back? No, that was a little ornery, because technically if you buy something for someone and you give them a gift, they should be free to use it as they please. But I'm like, you have to remember, you lost your job, you lost your place, you lost your car. So you are living with her rent free, driving her car, you know, dropping her off at work so that you can have her car to go back and search for a job. But instead you go back and you go to the house and you're playing games and doing other things on the internet instead of being productive. So yeah, she was being a little ornery when she took it back. But also she was probably fed up because it doesn't seem like you're actually really trying. And he was like, well, she took it back and I missed the email. Why isn't your email on your phone? If you are actively in pursuit of trying to find employment, if you are putting in these countless numbers of emails that you so proclaim, why is your email not on your phone so that you can see if you get a response? Well, my email is on my phone. Why didn't you see it? Man, because I have all these emails backed up and it got lost in my email account. Sir, young man, you know I love you, but good God, sir. If you are actively in pursuit in a job, why is your email so backed up that you have 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 unread emails? If you are actively putting in applications and pursuing employment, your unread email account should read 0, zip 0, stingy with De Niro, right? It should read 0. It should read 0. You shouldn't have any unread emails if you know that most of these jobs respond in email, or sometimes they call, but nowadays in the age of technology, a lot of them reply via email. You missed the email. Her taking the laptop is not what caused you to miss the email. You could have checked the email on your phone. And you're talking about, I was like, well, why don't you just go ahead and reply now? Man, the email was sent 2 weeks ago and they told me to reply by Friday and now it's too late. Didn't you say she just took the laptop? What's your point? My point is, sir, you still had it at the time that the email came through. So how is that her fault? So like the blaming of the, what do you call it? The shifting blame and all of that, the not taking accountability. I should have seen it. I could almost, if I could like literally kick myself in the butt, I would do that right now, because I'm like, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, how did I miss all of this? There's no way that I legit sat here and missed all of this and it was right in front of my face. I'm talking like right in front of my face. So like, this is what I mean when I say, when you're in spirituality, right, you got to do your shadow work, man. You really have to do your shadow work. And this family member, like I said, is highly spiritual. It's highly spiritual. But some of y'all, you know, get into spirituality and you go out and you buy books and you buy candles and you buy all these herbs and you buy all these incense and you buy your cards, and y'all go straight into doing spiritual things, but you ain't done no kind of grounding. You ain't done no kind of cleansing. You ain't done no kind of healing. So a lot of people, right? A lot of people, when they get into spirituality, are like literally at their lowest when they open that door. That's why you'll see like people, like I said, I used to be obsessed. When I first got in, I used to love watching the videos of people saying that they left religion to go into spirituality, and the ones that said that they love spirituality, and the ones who said they were in spirituality and they went back to religion. And like I said, a lot of the people who do that is because at the time that you opened that door, you were at your lowest. You were either dealing with some sort of addiction, you were dealing with loss, you were dealing with abandonment, you were dealing with low self-worth. You were probably at one of your lowest vibrations when you decided, okay, now I'm going to manifest. And the only thing that you did is you opened that spiritual door, and when all of them low vibrational negative energies got a whiff of your scent, it's like they came straight for you. They came straight for you. So then people have to run back to religion because they opened that door. They got all this stuff attached to them. Wonder why they having so much hell in their life, because you got all this stuff attached to you. Now you got to go back to someone to get them to get all that stuff off of you. And you know, religion can help. Religion ain't all bad. Religion can help. So then they go back to religion to get all this stuff cleaned off of them, and now they're scared to death to open that door again. But see, the fault was your own, because you opened, like, how many people actually studied before they actually started jumping into spiritual work? Not very many. You know, when I first got into spirituality, I started working with my ancestors first. Before I talked to a deity, before I did any of that, I worked with my ancestors first, because I said I wanted protection. I wanted a shield of protection before I went down this journey into doing things more serious, right? So I built my altar, and I didn't even know, it was a year later before I finally realized, someone was like, hey, you can set up your altar and it's good for a week, and then you take it down, you clean it, you know, wash the cloth, do all that, clean it, clean the area around it, clean all the knickknacks on it, put fresh offerings, and then do it again. But like, if you're gonna put food there, like warm food, it should only be there for a few hours. But if you're putting like certain fruits and stuff, bananas, apples, peaches or something, it can sit there for a few days. You put flowers, it can sit there for a few days, right? Water, I change my water every 3 days, right? But it can sit there for a while. But I didn't know that. So when I first started my ancestor altar, I was going daily. And if there were days where I didn't make it, or I overslept, or I was too tired, the next day I would sit there for twice as long. And when I went, I was sitting there because I didn't know, but I could go to my altar, you know, do my prayers, read my book of Psalms, do my offerings, you know, I read to them, you know, and stuff like that. And I could do that and literally be like in and out in like 30 minutes. I didn't know that. I was thinking that when I went, I had to sit there and really connect. So I would be at my altar for an hour, 2 hours, sometimes even 3 hours, right? And if there were times where I missed and I went the next day, I would be there 3 or 4 hours just sitting, right? Sitting. The Beyonce, what is it? Black is King? The Beyonce album, whichever Beyonce album had, Black Parade on it, I would put that album on and listen to that entire album from start to finish. And I would sit there and let the music play. My ancestors loved Black Parade. They also loved Spirit, and they loved Water, right? So I would listen to those songs, and I would read and stuff like that, and I would do that daily. I would burn ancestor money daily, right? The one apothecary that I was going to, she was like, man, I have to keep ringing up, because she said, I already know you're going to be back buying more. So she said, I got to keep ringing up just to keep up with you, because I was burning money daily because I didn't know. So I built such a strong connection with my ancestors, right? And I realized it worked, because only a few months in, like I said, because I was going daily, I was giving them tons and tons and tons of energy, tons and tons of offerings. So I'm uplifting them, you know, I'm elevating them rapidly because I'm putting so much work into it, right? So I ended up having a dream where I was supposed to catch a flight at 6 o'clock. And in the dream, literally, I look down at my watch and it is 5:55. And I'm like, oh crap, I'm not going to make it. So I'm running. I'm like, oh crap, I'm not gonna make it. It's 6 o'clock. I'm like, oh, it's gonna leave me. I get to the plane and I see my grandfather, the one that passed away in January 2020. I see him standing there, and he's like, calm down, you know, take a breath. He was like, we're not gonna leave without you. He was like, you're the reason we're here, and we're not leaving without you. This plane is not taking off until you get here, right? So I get on the plane and I see another passed over loved one, and I see all these people that I honestly didn't recognize them. I don't know who these people were. But they were all waiting for me, and there was so much love for me, and so much, like, there was so much just love and appreciation for me. And in the dream, I didn't understand why. I'm just like, y'all about to be late because of me, so I don't know why everybody's happy to see me, but you know, let's do it. So I sit down, I get in my seat, and the plane gets ready for takeoff. And then I ended up waking up and talking to one of my family members who she's a very gifted dream interpreter. And she was like, you have elevated your ancestors, especially the low vibrational ones. You have elevated them to the next level. And that was you showing them that you're being elevated to the next level, because you elevated them to the next level. So I was so grateful for that, right? So grateful for that. But nonetheless, I digress. That was me. I'm not saying that you have to do that. But what I'm saying is that too many people light them candles and pull out them cards. Meanwhile, internally, you're still struggling. Meanwhile, internally, you're still dealing with all of these demons, right? And I'm not saying you can't do spirituality if you are. I mean, of course you can. But my thing is, like, be careful about opening that door when you're in that energy, because what you're attracting, it may not be what you think it is, right? And I say that especially if you're someone, especially for those, right? If you've been in spirit, like I've been in spirituality since about 2021. I started about a year after my grandfather passed away. And I heard someone tell me, like, if someone passes away right after they have left Earth, right, they've transitioned, that's probably not them. It's a trickster spirit, that it takes a whole solar cycle or whatever they said for them to, or a whole Earth's rotation for them to actually cross over. So they were like, it takes about a year, which makes sense because, like I said, my grandfather died in January 2020. It was January 2021, like literally not the exact date, right? But literally it was in January 2021 where my grandfather came to me in a dream and was like, hey, we need you to stop being scared. It's time. Like, you know, you have gifts. You know that you have a deeper purpose. You know, it's time for you to stop ignoring it. It's time for you to stop being scared. You got work to do, and we need you to get to work. That's it. Right? That's all he had to say. And my journey started, right? My journey started. But anyways, I'll say that in the past, this is 2025, right? In the past almost 5 years, because we're almost in 2026, right? And the past 4.5 plus years that I've been on my journey, I have seen how my life has transformed. I have seen how my life has transformed, how so many things are, first of all, things have always fallen into place for me anyways. But now I'm starting to see exactly how I get this opportunity, right, that comes up, and I take it, and the next thing I know, this happens, and I get here and I meet this person. Now I have this, like how everything has been falling into place. If you've been in spirituality for a number of years and you take a look at your life, and your life has not changed from day one until now, you didn't do your shadow work first. You didn't do your shadow work first, and you're continuing to wait for that big miracle, that big break that can't come until you do the work to cleanse yourself, until you do the work to heal yourself, so that you're basically at a level where that thing can come in. You're too low vibrational for spirit to bring in this grand gift that you're waiting for, right? So I say that respectfully speaking, right? Respectfully speaking. And this is a conversation that I'd had with this family member who's like, man, I have these dreams. I'm supposed to this, I'm supposed to this, I'm supposed to be that. This person is gifted with words. Very, very, very gifted with words. This person would make an excellent motivational speaker, especially with all the turmoil they've been through. People love to hear that. People don't want to hear a millionaire who was born rich say, this is how I made more millions. People want to hear about someone who was born with nothing say how I made millions. Tell me how you did it, because I'm not, we starting where you started. We got nothing. So we want to get more. So this person would make an excellent motivational speaker, right? But the problem is that this person can't reach that level that they're supposed to be on, because they're still dealing with that low vibrational energy. There's that healing. This person knows what they need to do. They know what they need to let go of. But because the grip that they have on it is so tight, they refuse to let go, that it's like you've been in spirituality for all these years, and you've been trying and lighting candles and doing this work for all these years, and it's not working because you need to do the healing. You got it. You're trying to skip steps. Like there's no fast track. I'm sorry to tell you, there's no fast track in spirituality. There's no fast track. You got to do the healing. You just have to, right? You just have to. It's a part of your journey. Doing your shadow work is a part of your journey. It's actually the first step. So it don't matter if you've been in spirituality 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 15 years. It don't matter. If you have not done your shadow work successfully, you still in year 1. You still on level 1. You still on level 1. If you ain't successfully done your shadow work. So you're going to be waiting year after year after year for those blessings to come in, and they're not going to come because you still on level 1. You want level 5 blessings, but you refuse to do the level 1 work. And it just don't work like that, right? It just doesn't. I'm sorry to have to be the one to tell you, but it's so disheartening, right? It's so disheartening to sit here and see, because I'm like, you are so conscious. Like, you are so conscious. How do you not know better? Because them addictions get a hold, and sometimes they won't let go. And sometimes it's not even addiction. Sometimes it's anger, right? Sometimes it's bitterness. Sometimes it's jealousy. But it's like these different emotions, right? These emotions get attached, and like people just won't let go of them, right? They just won't let go. And you have to work through that. You got to work through that. You have to. It's not pleasant. It's not easy. It's not fun. But you got to work through that if you really want to get to the next level. If you literally are still mad and angry and bitter and blaming other people for where you are right now in life, you're not ready. You're not ready. You're not ready. And I tell this family member that too. If you can't take self-accountability for why your life is where it is, if every time something goes wrong, you somehow spin the narrative of how it's somebody else's fault, you're not ready. You're not ready. Because matter of fact, with you still dealing with that demon, even if all this money came in, you ain't gonna do nothing but kill yourself. You're gonna drown yourself in your addiction, right? And I really think that's the message that I was getting. Because literally, like I said, I just meant to type out, ask for not who the bell tolls. And I accidentally sent them, ask not for who the bell tolls. It tolls for thee. Only for that person to turn around and tell me they almost bled to death at the club that very night. Like literally around the time that I sent the text, this person is literally at the club almost bleeding to death. Like you can't, I'm sorry, you can't tell me that's a coincidence. You can't. And I really think that this is Spirit's way of having me tell this person, like, hey, you ain't gonna get but so many more chances. Let me tell you something. The message that I got was like, sooner or later, death comes for all. And death is not always, death, right? Sometimes it can be, loss, right? Sometimes it can be a loss of finances, loss of relationship, loss of just anything that you hold near and dear. It could really just mean loss, right? But spirit is insane. Like, until if you don't learn that lesson and overcome whatever vice that you're going through, right? What do they say, the 7 deadly sins? If you don't overcome whatever it is that you're going through, it's going to be the death of you. It is going to be, like I said, death does not always mean physical, but like literally it's going to be the death of you. If you don't finally learn how to let that go. It's been too long. It's been too long. Like I said, for those in the conscious community, doesn't mean that it makes it easier, but it means that you're supposed to better understand the reasonings for why, right? This family member needs a cleansing. This family member needs a cleansing bad. Like, this family member, but they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it because they keep thinking that, oh, I can just light my candle and do it myself. My guy, that's late. That would have been what you needed to do back in 2020. We're way past that now. You need a ceremony. You need a cleansing. Your home, but more importantly, your vessel needs a cleansing because something has gotten a hold of you and it's not letting go. And every time you succumb to it, it just gets stronger. It gets stronger. And I hate to say this. I almost don't even want to say this out loud, but I don't think it was a mistake of how that message was sent. Like I said, I think that was Spirit's way of me telling that person, if you don't get control of this, it will be the end of you, right? I love this person to death, but it's getting to the point where even I have to draw boundaries, and I never wanted to do that. I can walk away for, like I said, a couple of days, couple of weeks, couple of months, even if needed, but it may get to the point where I have to walk away permanently. And this person literally has so many family members are sick and tired of hearing this person's sob story, that this person has no one that they can turn to when they need something. They have no one to turn to. And if this relationship ends, which I'm gonna be honest, I hate to say this, if she was smart, she'd walk away. Because if this is what I'm seeing from states away, just being on the phone, I can't even begin to imagine what it's like dealing with it firsthand. I can't imagine what she's going through dealing with it firsthand. If she was smart, she'd get away. But I hate to say that because I know that she is this person's last lifeline, because I can't, especially with me traveling now for work, I can't do that. I can't take this person in and you go and you don't have any respect for other people's things, especially when you're in that state. You don't have any respect for other people's things. You can't be ripping, I travel for work, so you can't be ripping and running, tearing my car up while you're out feeding your vice. You can't do that. I cannot allow you to come in and destroy what I've worked so hard to build. I can't. As much as I love you, I can't. And if he continues to do what he's doing, she's going to have to come to that conclusion as well, because you can't come in and build and destroy what she's worked so hard to build either. If you can't control your vices, you can't go around and unleashing them on other people, then trying to guilt trip them for not being there, trying to guilt trip them for walking away when you can't even walk away from that which is destroying you. It's insane. It's insane, y'all. I'm sorry, I had to share this. This was super, super long. I don't even know how long it is, because I'm going to end up speeding this up a little bit just to cut down on the time. I apologize for this being super long, right? But literally, I'm sorry, y'all, if my voice sounds different. I had to run to the store real quick. It was 6 o'clock, and y'all know I like to get in the stores as soon as they open, and I did not want to be late. Well, not late, because they open at 6. They don't close until 11. But I didn't want to miss that window of first opening to finish this recording. So I went in, did my shopping, because it is Monday morning, did my shopping for the week, and I'm getting ready to head back home. But anyways, I got me a little snack, so I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm smacking in the camera. In the recording. But anyways, like I said, the message for this one basically summed it up by saying, if you don't get a hold of that which has control over you, it's going to end up being the death of you, right? It's going to end up destroying you. And for some, like I said, death doesn't necessarily mean death itself, but it is going to end up destroying you. And before I forget, now that I'm at the end, because like I said, in case I have to go back and edit it, in case YouTube does not let me upload the video because of copyright infringement, I will have to take the music out. So in case I do, the song or the music that's playing is from the movie Light It Up, and it's Ja Rule's How Many Wanna Die With Me, right? And that was literally the song that was playing in my head as I was getting off the phone with this family member, because Spirit was telling me, like, you need to put some distance between you and this person, because they can't get control of their life, and they're gonna come to a demise, right? If they don't get control over this. And do you want to go with them? Do you want to go with them after all the work you've put in? Do you want to go with them? So literally the song was like, how many want to die with me? And I don't. So I had to hurry up and end that phone call. And as I say that, I'm going to go ahead and end this recording. As always, if you made it this far, thank you for listening. Bye.